Today, we're taking a clinical look at a psychological mechanism that is, frankly, one of the most powerful forces in human interaction. We're talking about power that comes from pure unpredictability. Now, you've probably been told your whole life that being consistent, being reliable, that's how you build attraction. For the next 12 minutes, I want you to just set that idea on a shelf, because we're about to deconstruct the dopamine trap, and I'm going to show you exactly why a little bit of calculated uncertainty can hijack the human brain more effectively than almost anything else.
This quote, this really cuts to the heart of what we're talking about, doesn't it? It's that feeling we've all had, that strange magnetic pull towards someone who just feels like an unsolved puzzle. And let's be clear, this isn't some poetic idea, this is a biological reality. See, your brain is a prediction machine. Its number one job is to find patterns to keep you safe and to save energy. So when it runs into someone it can't predict, it doesn't just get curious, it goes on high alert. This has nothing to do with romance or destiny. It's about your neural pathways getting expertly and sometimes intentionally hijacked. So today we're going to give this feeling a name and we're going to hand you the instruction manual.
And this slide right here, this breaks the whole thing down perfectly. Think about it. A vending machine. You put your money in, you get your snack out. It's 100% reliable, it's predictable. And because of that, it's neurologically, well, it's boring. The dopamine hit is tiny because there's no suspense, no mystery. But a slot machine? Oh, that is a different beast entirely. It's weaponized uncertainty. You pull that lever having no idea what's going to happen. And the research is clear. Dopamine isn't really about the reward itself. It's about the anticipation of a possible reward. It's that maybe, that roll of the dice that floods your brain with dopamine, way more than a sure thing ever could. So remember this. In the physics of human influence, the slot machine always beats the vending machine. Every single time.
So that leads us right into our first section, the magnetic paradox. And it's a paradox because it seems to go against everything we think we know about connection. We think we're drawn to stability, right? But the most intense, obsessive attraction often comes from the exact opposite. If you've ever found yourself totally stuck in someone's orbit, analyzing every little thing they do, it is so important that you reframe what's happening. This isn't a character flaw. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a completely predictable biological response to a very specific stimulus. You're not weak. You're simply responding exactly the way the system is designed to make you respond.
Okay, so where does it all start? It starts right here, with what we call the inconsistency spike. This is the opening move. One day, they are your biggest fan, just showering you with attention. The next day, they're a complete stranger. The warmth is gone, the communication is cut, and there's no reason you can see. You know, maybe it's the boss who champions you on Monday, then walks right by you in the hall on Tuesday like you don't exist. Or the friend who's texting you all day for a week straight, then suddenly leaves you on red for 3 days. This isn't just confusing, it's a social fire alarm. This sudden, unexplained shift throws your brain into what we call a social crisis. Your mind, which is absolutely wired for social connection, flags this as a critical error, an anomaly that has to be solved right now. And that state of crisis, that urgent, burning need to figure this person out, well, that leads directly into the cognitive trap. This is the stage where that simple confusion starts to morph into a full-blown obsession. It's the point where your own thoughts are no longer your own. We're moving from the external thing, their behavior, to the internal condition it creates in you. We're talking about how your focus gets hijacked. And that condition has a name, the erosion of cognitive sovereignty. This is such a critical idea to grasp. Cognitive sovereignty is your basic right to control your own attention, to point your mental energy where you decide. But this dynamic, it systematically takes that right away from you. Your brain's main job suddenly shifts from your own life, your own goals, your own peace of mind, to one single, all-consuming task: decoding them. Why did they use a period at the end of that text? What did their tone of voice mean right there? Your emotional state isn't yours anymore. It's now completely dependent on their mood, their texts, their approval. It's like you've been kicked out of the driver's seat of your own car, and now you're just a nervous passenger watching their hands on the wheel. And this is what it looks like in the real world. I mean, just look at these symptoms. Does any of this sound familiar? Spending an hour rereading a single text message, like you're trying to decipher an ancient scroll. Constantly checking to see when they were last online. Polling all your friends, showing them the text, asking them, what do you think this means? That's not just overthinking. That's your brain under a massive cognitive load. It's burning an incredible amount of fuel, which is why these situations are so utterly exhausting.
And over time, this leads to a feeling of learned helplessness, where you actually start to believe that you have no control over your own happiness, that it's all in their hand. And just like that, the power shift is complete. The operator, the person creating all this chaos, has claimed what we call the emotional high ground. And think about how they did it. They didn't make a single demand. They didn't have to be aggressive. All they had to do was be a moving target. By making their approval unpredictable and their behavior a mystery, they put you in a position where you are constantly looking up at them, just waiting for them to grant you the stability that you used to have all on your own. Okay, so how does this engine of obsession actually run? That question brings us to the very heart of this whole thing, the reinforcement engine. We are about to pop the hood on this and really deconstruct the machine piece by piece, because it is so important to understand this isn't random. It's not just someone being moody. It's a highly structured, repeatable, 4-phase loop that is almost perfectly designed to condition your behavior and keep you hooked.
And here it is, the whole loop laid out. 4 distinct phases that create this perfect storm. First, you've got pattern disruption, where they break the normal rules of your interaction. Second, the variable reward, that random, incredible hit of dopamine and validation. Third, the random withdrawal, when they go cold and that dopamine crashes. And finally, status dependency. This is where you become obsessed with getting that reward back and the trap slams shut. So let's break each one of these down. Phase 1, it starts with a pattern disruption. The operator breaks the established baseline of your relationship. Let's say you have a friendship that's always been light and fun. Then suddenly they get intensely personal and vulnerable. Or the opposite, someone who's always warm and responsive suddenly goes quiet and distant. It's a deliberate or at least intuitive break in the pattern. It creates a glitch in your social reality, an open loop. And your brain, that prediction machine, immediately flags it. It's an anomaly that your mind now feels compelled to solve, and it pushes every other thought to the back burner. Now pay attention to the timing here, because it's everything. Just when you get frustrated, just when you're about to give up and say, you know what, I'm done with this, that's when they hit you with phase 2, the variable reward. They give you that thing you've been craving, that incredible conversation that goes until 3 a.m., that perfect compliment that makes you feel totally seen. This is the jackpot from the slot machine. It's a massive dopamine hit that feels amazing, and it powerfully reinforces one idea in your brain. Enduring the chaos is worth it. It teaches you that the solution to the pain they cause is more of them. And then, just as you're feeling good, just as you feel like things are finally stable, phase 3 hits you like a ton of bricks. The random withdrawal. They go cold again, no reason given, no explanation. The warmth just evaporates. And this triggers a very real physiological dopamine crash in your brain. It feels awful. It's anxiety, it's emptiness, it's a deep craving. And this is what kicks your brain into hyper-seeking mode. It starts screaming at you, get the reward back, do something. Last time we felt this bad, getting their attention fixed it. Go, go, go. And right here, this is where the trap is sealed. Phase 4, status dependency. Your number one goal, the thing that takes up all your mental real estate, is getting back to the high of phase 2. The pain of the withdrawal is so bad that the only solution your brain can focus on is getting another hit of validation from the operator. At this point, they have become the sole supplier of the fix for a problem that they themselves created. You are now completely caught in their loop, running on their treadmill, chasing a reward that they can grant or deny whenever they want. So we've seen the what, we've seen the 4-phase loop that gets you hooked, but now we need to understand the why. Why are our brains so uniquely, almost tragically, vulnerable to this exact kind of manipulation? This next section, Hijacking the Brain, gets into the deep biological reasons why the system is just so brutally effective. So let's just ask the question straight up. Why does this work so well? Is it some personal failing? A weakness that's unique to you? No, absolutely not. Your vulnerability to this trap is not a bug in your system, it's a feature. It's the result of ancient survival mechanisms being exploited in a modern world. The first reason is that this dynamic exploits your salience filter. Think about our ancestors on the savannah. Their survival depended on noticing things that were out of place. That rustle in the grass that didn't quite match the wind, that could be a lion. So our brains evolved to tag any unpredictable anomaly as high priority. It forces you to pay attention. So when a person in your life acts erratically, your ancient brain doesn't register it as a social problem, it registers it as a potential threat, a rustle in the grass that demands your full, undivided attention until the pattern is reestablished. The second exploit is something called the Zeigarnik Effect, and this is fascinating. You ever notice how you can't get a song out of your head if you only heard half of it? Or how you obsess over a movie that ended on a cliffhanger? That's the Zeigarnik Effect. Our minds absolutely hate open loops. We are wired to need closure. We remember unfinished business far more intensely than things we've completed. So the operator, by being inconsistent, turns themselves into a permanently unfinished task, an unsolved puzzle. Your brain obsesses over them, not because they're so special, but because your interaction with them is always left incomplete. And your biological need to solve that puzzle is what gives them their power. And the third thing that makes this so powerful is the halo effect. This is where we essentially become their accomplice in our own minds. It's the story we tell ourselves to make their behavior okay, because we don't want to think that someone we like is being manipulative or is just unstable. So our brain creates a better story. Their moodiness isn't a red flag. No, it's a sign of their artistic temperament. Their inconsistency isn't disrespectful, it's just executive stress because they're so important. We literally create a positive halo around their negative traits so we don't have to deal with the uncomfortable truth. Okay, so we've taken the trap apart, we understand the machine, and we understand the psychology that makes it run. The diagnosis is done, now we move to the solution. How do we dismantle this thing? This brings us to the most important section of all, the Pattern-Audit Protocol. This isn't about fighting back or playing games. This is the systematic approach you take to reclaim your cognitive sovereignty. This is how you stop being a target and become an analyst.
This slide says it all. This is the critical mindset shift you have to make. Because as long as you're trying to play the game, trying to win their approval or solve their mystery, you are a player. And in their game, the house always wins. The only way out is to get off the board completely. You have to elevate your perspective. You have to become an auditor. An auditor doesn't get emotional about the numbers on a page. They just observe, they analyze the pattern, and they assess the situation with total detachment. And the protocol for becoming that auditor has 3 very clear tactical actions. This isn't about having a big emotional confrontation. This is all about your own internal strategy. First, cognitive reappraisal. You relabel what's happening. Second, reaction refusal. You stop giving them the response they've been trained to expect. And third, the internal anchor. You ground yourself in your reality, not theirs. Let's walk through each one.
Action number 1, cognitive reappraisal. So the next time you feel that sudden shift, that wave of coldness from them, your emotional brain is going to want to panic. It's going to try to invent a story about what you did wrong. Your job is to override that impulse. You see the shift, and then you label it clinically, like a scientist. You literally say to yourself, I see. This is an intermittent reinforcement signal. It's designed to create a dopamine crash. The moment you do that, you're engaging the logical part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex. You're turning a scary mystery into a boring, predictable tactic. And once you kill the mystery, the spell is broken. Action 2 might be the hardest, but it's also the most powerful, reaction refusal. When they go cold, your conditioned instinct is to scramble. It's to send that text, "Are you okay? Did I do something?" You have to fight that impulse. You must refuse to send that text. When they go cold, you go neutral, not cold back. That's still playing their game, just neutral. You get back to your work. You go on with your day. And what happens? You immediately remove their leverage. Their silence is only a weapon if you react to it. Your panicked response is the data that tells them the game is working. When you stop giving them that data, their tactic becomes useless. You starve the loop.
And that brings us to action 3, the internal anchor. This is your long-term defense. While they are a storm of hot and cold in and out, you must be steady. And how do you do that? You anchor your focus to something you actually control, your own mission, your goals, your values. So when your mind starts to wander and you start analyzing their last text message for the 10th time, you consciously redirect it. You say, nope, my focus right now is on finishing this project, or my focus is on my workout. You turn your attention back to your own life. And this sends the most powerful signal possible, both to them and more importantly to yourself. My emotional state is not for rent. My focus is not for sale.
So, as we wrap this up, let's zoom all the way out. Because there is one single strategic principle that governs this entire dynamic. This is the master rule of the game, and it applies to so much more than just this one situation.
When you boil it all down, it comes to this one simple truth. This whole system, this entire house of cards, it only works if you are an unconscious player. It requires you to believe in the mystery, to feel the panic, to chase the reward. But the second you become aware of the system, the moment you can see the 4 phases and label the tactics for what they are, the whole thing collapses. Its power was never really in them.
It was in your lack of awareness. And this is the thought I want to leave you with. This is the core principle. The person who creates the chaos, who breaks the pattern, is trying to control your focus. But the person who understands the pattern, who stays anchored in their own certainty, that is the person who controls their own focus. And in any game, in any interaction, the person who controls their own focus holds all the power.